the Daily Wire recently had a defector, if you can believe it.
All
Not
right.
total ideological conformity in that space.
Okay.
Christina Buttons. What a name. I'm leaving the Daily Wire. I work hard getting the facts right and using precise language because of the heated nature of the gender debate. With so much at stake, while their pundits dump gasoline all over it for entertainment and clicks. I can't
Hey, what do
believe
you know? We are getting some extra material on top of what we discussed. Vosh might actually cover something else from what we have, right? I'm assuming that those, like we're gonna see, right? The leaked documents thing, etc. We'll see.
it, but she's actually saying, like, okay, look, I'm not pro-trans or anything, but these guys are psychotic. And she's not wrong.
They are. They are.
After much consideration, I'm tending my resignation to the Daily Wire, a publication which I've dedicated my time and passion as an investigative reporter for the last 6 months. Oh, and just so you guys know, she's not just like a random person there or anything. She's in Nashville, Tennessee, where the Daily Wire is housed. So she's in-house. Not
Okay.
like just some random like person who wrote 2 op-eds or whatever. When the documentary What is a Woman was released in 2022, I thought...
Oh, she'll come onto the channel as well. Okay.
Matt Walsh
We're gonna
didn't insult his
watch.
interviewees, but instead let them embarrass themselves with deeply incoherent attempts to answer a question any first grader should be able to answer. Again, we're not standing her. She's not an ally.
All right.
Even my liberal parents loved the movie, okay? So when the Daily Wire approached me with the opportunity to write exclusively on trans issues with an emphasis on pediatric gender medicine, I accepted.
Well.
There were difficulties working for a decidedly conservative news and media outlet, which I anticipated. Oh god, we're kind of short on time and there's still a video segment we have to watch. Okay, we're skipping ahead. I was told the Daily Wire stance was that adults could live their lives however they pleased as long as they kept kids out of it. That was a message I could get behind.
See?
But recent videos and posts have weakened my confidence.
This is why I'm your streamer. I stream for like 20 hours or something.
Dylan Mulvaney that has now been viewed by millions. You, quote, "You are weird and artificial. You are manufactured and lifeless. You are unearthly and eerie. You are like some..."
We know that quote, right?
Walsh said.
We know
Everyone
that
who
quote.
looks at you will see something pitiable and bizarre. We didn't go over this, but it was basically just him saying that trans women are Untermenschen. That's basically all that was. Walsh has defended these statements as good strategy because, he says, they rally the conservative base. He adds his goal is not to convince the other side, but to defeat, humiliate, and demoralize his opponents. This triggered a race to the bottom, with other social media personas one-upping each other to see who can take more extreme stances.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
it goes
that's
on
true.
for a while. And this actually ends up, unironically, being a pretty, not comprehensive, but at least a somewhat comprehensive document on the extent to which the Daily Wire has degraded in its rhetoric against trans people, going from trans women aren't women and also keep your hands off kids to very explicit, like, we need to destroy trans people as a social category. And it goes on as such. Leaving the Daily Wire, but not leaving the fight. As an independent journalist, I will continue my commitment to factual and rigorous reporting on gender ideology. We need to get her on.
True.
And her "I'm leaving the right" post over here was met with quite a bit of criticism. In fact, it even got a response from Matt Walsh himself, who dedicated the title of his live stream that day, 4 hours ago, to the event. We need sound, Matt.
One of my colleagues, the Daily Wire, had decided to leave the company. And this is not exactly breaking news. People come and go all the time, as is the case at any large and growing company. What made this unique is that I learned about her resignation.
She just wants the people around her to be less rude. Okay, so I want to be clear. She's not an ally. She's still transphobic.
She's not. Yeah,
However, what she represents is a return to the kind of reactionary conservatism that I was experiencing far more often when I started my channel. People who still care about...
She just thinks
people who
that it's not effective strategy
that they will defend, not a perfectly nihilistic, like hate-mongering fervor. Even if she is not a ally, she is a representation of a better and more sane kind of reactionary thought.
Right.
And in that respect, I support her leaving.
I mean, that makes sense, I guess.
from a blog post.
It
which
does
was then
make
picked
sense.
up by outlets like
Even though,
and the Daily Dot, and amplified, of course, by employees at
Yeah.
Media Matters, where she, in part, blames me for her decision to.
I mean, you are pretty,
She's a reporter.
you are something else,
Few months ago,
Matt.
covered
You are
issues related to
something
gender
else.
ideology, especially the abuse of children that happens in the name of gender ideology. I appreciated the work that she did when she worked for the Daily Wire and never had any issues with her, as far as I was aware anyway. And then she tweeted this on Tuesday morning. I'm leaving the Daily Wire. I worked hard getting the
We saw this part.
pundits.
So we can basically
story,
make
and
myself
divisive rhetoric has driven
visible
her away.
now.
She writes in part, quote, when the documentary What is a Woman was released in 2022,
We saw this part.
I thought it was transgender issues with an emphasis on transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney that has now been viewed by millions are like bizarre. He adds
So
that
what's
take
now?
more extreme stances. But she goes,
Wow, that's kind of crazy. Matt Walsh decided to read out the exact same portion of the article that we wrote out. Like, I skipped most of it. I only read a portion of it. An hour-long video.
Hello,
No,
Nakia. We're not going to sleep. We have so much more to do.
Subject.
We have so much more to do,
people who she calls
Nakia.
transsexuals who are not ideologues, she claims, and who she says, you know, are they know that they're not actually the opposite sex, even if that's how they identify. And she worries that my quote-unquote hardline stance.
Notice the conflation here, the idea of transsexuals and knowing they're not the opposite sex, as though, like, there's any trans woman on the planet who thinks that her sex instantly becomes female the nanosecond she identifies as a woman. I'm sure you could find one such person on Twitter, but I think the reason they take hormones is actually because they know that there's a biological difference between male and female sex behavior.
Right.
Or not behavior, physiology.
Thank you, Jessica.
Do you think Walsh looks more ghoulish? Over time, this happens to all of them.
Yeah. It's like the Sith with
Maybe
Star
not
Wars.
only alienating them, but also fueling a, quote, sudden deluge of animus towards transsexuals. She continues, quote, I can only assume that the enthusiasm generated by Walsh's hardline position encouraged another colleague of mine, Michael Knowles, to make a controversial statement at this year's Conservative Political Action Conference.
We know about that
As a
as well.
journalist, I have to believe that there are reachable centrists, including moderate liberals who are uncomfortable with gender ideology, but who have been insulated from serious coverage.
Okay, while this is going on, I'm actually just going to I'm gonna DM her right now. Hold on. Let's see if we can get a nice, interesting conversation on this fine stream of ours.
Okay, interesting.
Of this medical scandal.
I wonder.
Hearts and minds is difficult enough without inflammatory statements such as transgenderism must be eradicated from public life. There's a critical distinction between speaking truth and being tactless, between sticking to the facts and sticking it to the libs. I'm keenly aware of the distinction between factual reporting and opinion. As a journalist and reporter, I dedicated my days and nights to meticulously surveying data, scouring the primary literature, and choosing the best words to accurately convey the truth. But such painstaking attention to details rendered meaningless when the company's flagship entertainers and personalities speak impulsively and deploy divisive rhetoric for entertainment and clicks. This is not a game. We cannot afford to make these issues overtly partisan. The bodies, minds, and lives of children are being permanently damaged, and everyone, not just reporters and journalists, has a duty to approach this issue with the seriousness it demands. Now, I admit that outside...
Now, obviously, I firmly disagree with her belief that trans children are being preyed upon or whatever, but it is interesting that in her case, she actually believes it. I feel like, in a way, Matt internally is kind of shaking his head, you know? Like, wow, you really believe this shit? Like, to Matt, none of this matters. This is
Of course, he's just...
a series of rhetorical points to fix
Yeah.
to propagate the spread of far-right ideology.
Of course.
You know, Matt Walsh doesn't actually care about any of this crap.
Yeah.
It's all just like what sells. It's all political strategy. Whereas she, misinformed and such as she may be, actually does seem to care about the treatment of trans children, to the point where she thinks that it's actually damaging to those trans children for conservatives to muddy the water by being so overtly genocidal to trans people.
Yeah.
She's essentially saying, like, your untempered reactionary fervor
Basically, she's worried about optics and effectiveness. There you go.
my more specific,
Yeah.
less reactionary but still reactionary position.
Yeah, she's worried about optics and
Doesn't happen that
effectiveness.
often. Not publicly, at least.
Like,
Outside of-
that is what it
Daily Wire, I
is.
didn't follow Christina's work very closely, and so I didn't know that in recent weeks she had also been on Twitter accusing those who are too far to the right, as far as she's concerned, on trans issues, of transphobia. Using that term exactly, calling people transphobe.
Come on,
Now, if I'd
Jessica.
known that this
Come
was the sort of person
on.
who unironically
Come on.
accuses people of transphobia, I would not have been too surprised by what happened yesterday. And even without knowing that, still not very surprised, because as we've seen over the last several weeks, there has been what we might call a kind of great sorting among the critics of gender ideology.
Sorting.
Those who are not willing to go as far as is needed and to say everything that needs to be said have been weeding themselves out. And this is just the latest in that line, in that procession. They're turning against their own allies.
Remember what I said about outreach and consolidation? Remember what I said? Remember how I've said that consolidation, if done at the wrong time and inexpertly, can actually end up hurting the far right because it keeps them from working with groups of more moderate people that might actually be like able to assist them?
Yeah.
Doing it in public, thereby intentionally giving ammunition to the very people they were supposed to be fighting against. There's a reason why Media Matters picks this up. I mean, just as a general rule, by the way, if you are supposed to be opposing the left or opposing them on any of these issues, and you do or say anything that Media Matters finds useful, then that's a pretty good indication that you screwed up. But they do this to their own...
It's purity testing. You're completely right. It's purity testing.
No, Matt Walsh is just repulsive. No, don't. Please don't compare them. Matt Walsh is a pretty repulsive individual.
Era, for example, like 2015 to 2021, there was basically no purity testing on the right. If you expressed any support for any conservative position, they would immediately be like, yeah, whoa, a new friend, like anyone, you know? And now, I mean, we just saw Matt Walsh say that Jeffree Star is no ally because he is blue hair and pronouns.
Side because they were never fully on our side to begin with. And that's, I think, the crucial point here. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on the personal side of this, except to say that I worked in the same building as this person, right across the hall from her. If I'm not traveling, I'm in the office essentially from dawn to dusk and sometimes longer. So she would have ample opportunity to walk across.
No time to spend with your, like, 5 kids, no doubt.
Across the room and talk to me about her concerns. Could have had a private conversation as colleagues and alleged allies in the fight against gender ideology. Could have done that.
Oh my gosh.
But instead, she chose to say nothing to me at all and take her grievances to the public. In doing so, she not only questioned my approach and my strategy, but also
my
integrity.
You're pretty wild.
Questioning it on his end too, accusing us of being mainly interested in clicks and entertainment, and insinuating that we're not taking the.
Are they not? I mean, she basically said the Daily Wire told her that their official position was that trans adults were free to do as they please, and it was just the kids stuff that they took issue with. And Matt Walsh and Knowles obviously are not adhering to that. So
there we are.
The issue seriously enough. This is ironic, given that she made these accusations in a blog post where she used both my name and my picture and Michael Knowles' name and picture to get clicks. And at the end of her resignation, she even solicits personal donations. So it's like Matt Walsh is only in it for the money. By the way, if you agree with my complaints about Matt Walsh, please consider giving me money. It's a bold sales pitch, I will admit. We'll see if it pays off. But the personal insults are not my primary concern. I realize I'm a bit old-fashioned. You know, I was raised to always speak directly to people if I had an issue with them. I was also taught that...
What do you think Matt would have even said if she had brought this to him directly? If she had been like, hey, I really am concerned about the transing of our children, but I can't help but notice...
Get in line, is what he'd say.
Lately.
Get in line.
Get in line. Was I lied to? What would he say? Would he like laugh and go, yeah, obviously? Like...
He'd say, get in line. That is what he'd say. Okay?
Yeah. Hey, Matt. I can't help but notice that, like...
Get on with the program.
The Daily Wire seems to be committed to a purely genocidal attitude, and you were lying to me when you talked about only wanting to protect trans children.
What took you so long, idiot?
What? Is that how it would go? I don't know.
Probably.
What other possible outcome could there be to that conversation? I have no clue what else he could say.
Or he could just say get in line.
I shouldn't needlessly burn bridges with people who have helped me and may be able to help me in the future. I mean, I can remember being 17 years old and working at the local pizza place, and I was getting ready to quit. And my dad told me even then, make sure you don't burn the bridge. Don't want to burn the bridge with a pizza place. You never know when you're going to need them again. But these days, many people feel that whenever they quit a job, they have to nail their 95 theses to the door, publicly outlining every single...
Oh! Hey, apparently Ariana Grande posted this to speaking of Ariana Grande, posted this to her Insta story earlier. That's nice. I really like this image. Don't want to see transsexuality? Pluck out your eyes. I like that a lot. That's cool. That's a
I
good
see.
that's a good pro-trans sentiment from a big celebrity, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah, don't want to hear about trans people gouge out your ears.
True.
We need more celebs on our side. Yeah, well, you know, vocal support is always good.
Single thing they didn't like about the place. They do that in the form now of, it's not so much a thesis on the door, but it's in the form of a TikTok video or, you know, a sub.
Oh, wait, I got a response from Christina Buttons. Hold on. I guess I'll just let the video play.
Act or something like that. I would say that this is
All right.
not only improper and an unfair way to treat people who've helped you professionally,
Oh,
but
that
also just a very bad career move that you are destined to regret in the future.
Oh,
But
that sounded like a
that's just me,
threat.
I suppose. Much more important point
Sure.
is that, again, this is someone who's just the latest in a line of people who are supposedly on our side in this fight, and yet have turned against those of us who they feel are too extreme or too harsh or whatever.
Oh, you're pretty extreme.
There are a couple of crucial takeaways here.
You're
I've already
pretty
explained
extreme, that's
in
right.
strenuous detail why I believe it's not only morally justified, but also a good strategy to be blunt and more aggressive. I don't need to belabor the point any more than I already have, except to say that if you think that it's possible to
We want
win
to
a
be
cultural
even
battle
more
about
aggressive.
massive social change, while also being exclusively polite and mild-tempered and focused on
So Pussy Walsh over here. Sorry, I'm writing the thing, but I can still hear him with one ear. You might notice that he's not engaging with the central premise here.
Of
He
course.
isn't saying that he was impolite. She's saying that he was, or that the Daily Wire was dishonest about their stated position on this issue.
Yeah.
And that he was being dishonest here. That he was lying about.
Maybe that's the same thing to Matt
She
Walsh.
considered to be a legitimate fight against like the transiting of youth.
Maybe Matt Walsh cannot tell the difference. Who knows?
compromise, then you have never studied history.
Oh my
Any
gosh.
history, I have to assume. Because that's not how this works or has ever worked anywhere. Every social movement needs its frontline combatants. It's street fighters. You know, it's people who are willing to get their hands dirty.
This is like the shit I was saying back in 2020 to defend debate to all the like bread tubers who were like, oh, why do we need white guys doing debates in our band? This is like the same content.
Brown shirts.
Except I was talking about like the diversity of tactics of like doing debate and taking the heat, and he's talking about the diversity of tactics of being openly genocidal. That is what
Forming the brown
he's
shirts.
like, okay, listen, man, diversity of tactics, all right? We need our people who are, you know, will want to do another Holocaust.
Oh
You know,
my gosh.
you need to bring in that demographic.
I mean, who does he mean with the history bit? Hmm?
So if you think that I'm a confrontational jerk, maybe you're right. But the confrontational jerk community, okay, serves an important purpose. You need us, whether you like it or not. No cultural battle can be won or has ever been won anywhere in the world without us. Now, not everyone
Again,
needs
keep in mind, she was not talking about him being rude.
True.
to adopt our approach or should adopt it. You see, this doesn't go the other way. I'm not out here saying, well, nobody should ever be polite. Nobody should be nice.
Oh, yeah.
No one should be more gentle. I don't say that. As I've said many times, I believe in
He wants to form his own brown shirts.
a diversity of tactics.
Fuck! God damn it! Fuck! He really is alt universe fascist me, isn't he? Fuck!
Oh no.
God damn it!
So the problem isn't that these gentler and more squeamish people aren't adopting.
I'm hotter than him. I will not. We're getting one thing straight, okay? I'm hotter than he is.
Well, he is pretty
I'm not
repulsive.
arguing this, okay? And he is far more pedophilic.
True.
Adopting our approach is that they think everyone should adopt their approach. And they're wrong about that. And that is also why, if you notice, on the left, they don't have this conversation. Have you noticed that?
What?
They never have this conversation. So on the right, we're constantly stuck every day. It's another version of the same debate. Are we being too mean? Are we being too mean to
Okay,
them?
this is just gonna keep going like this. Hold on, really quickly. What the fuck smells bad in this room right now. Hold on.
Oh
This is
no.
the cat thing. What the fuck?
The cat pooped. The cat pooped or vomited. I can feel it in my bones.